Following the unparalleled fall in household incomes over recent years, living standards are guaranteed to be at the heart of the coming election. But claims about these trends need to be carefully scrutinised. Much of what gets said is wide of the mark, some of it is highly misleading. Many will highlight the collapse in wages, with average pay having fallen by more than 8%. Add in the self-employed who are omitted from the official data and the squeeze is deeper still. Others will present a more benign wage story, emphasising that typical pay among those in continuous employment has tended to rise each year over the course of the downturn. But we will need to treat this carefully. Rather confusingly, these changes in typical pay don't tell us anything about how many people in this group are actually getting pay rises. In fact, more than half have continued to face pay cuts even as median pay has increased. Over recent months, real wages have turned positive, thanks in no small part to inflation falling below 1%. And this positive trend is likely to strengthen during 2015. Some groups will inevitably do better than others, but the worst of the wage squeeze is behind us. Of course, pay is only one part of living standards. Employment levels matter greatly, and they have recovered incredibly strongly. The employment rate is back to its pre-crisis peak. Tax and benefit policies matter too. The vast majority of workers have benefited from income tax cuts, but a large minority of working people have experienced deep cuts in support, often more than offsetting these gains. Put all this together and the most authoritative survey data shows a drop of 3.5% in average household income since the financial crisis hit, or 5.5% since the peak in 2010. But that's where the data ends. Come polling day, our key statistics will be over 2 years out of date. More timely statistics do exist and will get reported, but need to be interpreted with care. They count not just earnings and benefits, but also assumed rental incomes among homeowners, not something that most families would recognise as part of their income. Oddly, they also incorporate the incomes of universities and charities. Based on these measures, we see household incomes picked up slightly in 2014. With inflation falling, the pre-crisis level is set to be restored at some point in 2015. If we roll forward our preferred measure, our projection is that average incomes remain somewhat further away from this break-even point. But if we look at median incomes using this measure, the picture looks better, meaning typical income is approaching its pre-crisis level. As we approach May's election, official wage and income measures are growing steadily for the first time in years. For some, that will chime with experience. Others will be focused on the fact that they are still worse off than they were in 2010. This is the contested backdrop against which the parties will be trying to convince voters that they have the right policies to improve living standards over the next 5 years.